0.110 to discuss with legal counsel representing the agency litigation or potential litigation to which the agency, the governing body, or a member acting in an official capacity is or likely to become a party. The executive session will last for about 10 minutes, after which time that meeting will be reconvened or the executive session will be extended.
Or we'll turn to the executive session.
Okay, great. Thank you. So Adam, will you switch us over?
The executive session is being extended by 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Okay, thank you, everyone. We're now reconvening out of the executive session and will proceed with our meeting.
The board will now reconvene their meeting.
So Adam, are we ready?
So,
Okay. Okay, let's move on to introduction of new college employees. Are there any new college employees being introduced this evening, Adam?
yes, Chair Bryant, there are a number of new employees being introduced this evening. First, I'll turn it over to Dr. Yvonne Wayne Wolf.
So we have two new instructional designers joining our Center for Learning Innovation team this October, and I'm going to introduce one of them here in person. So Stephanie Kernick grew up in Minnesota and has spent her early career focused on STEM education. She earned 2 Bachelor's of Arts degrees in mathematics and chemistry, with minors in physics and music from the University of Minnesota Morris in 2007, and earned a Master's of Science in mathematics from University of Iowa in 2012. She's just finished 10 years of teaching mathematics and statistics at the University of Wisconsin-Richland, a small but diverse learning-centered community college in rural Wisconsin. Over the years, Stephanie has enjoyed the creative challenge of planning courses for many different modalities, including web-enhanced, hybrid, and online courses. Stephanie enjoyed being a professor, but she realized her favorite parts of teaching are the course planning process and the discussions she has with the fellow faculty, sharing techniques and brainstorming how to implement new ideas. Stephanie is excited to become an instructional designer, where she can help support students and faculty with less grading. When she's not thinking about education, you will find Stephanie outdoors exploring, hiking, biking, kayaking, singing in a choir, playing board games, and enjoying a good book. Stephanie, would you like to share more about yourself?
Not a whole lot. I'm very excited to be here in the Pacific Northwest and have a look at college. Hello, Matt person.
Thank you.
Welcome, Stephanie.
Up next, we have Ms. Wendy Belden.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, Miss Bryant. So I'm Wendy Belden and I manage the Welcome Center, and I have 2 navigators to introduce tonight. What I have to say is very short, but our first navigator is Cal Westbrook. Sorry. She's a graduate of Portland State University, and her previous employment was at Linfield University, and she brings with her communication skills and a passion to see students succeed here at Olympic College. Cal?
Hi, I'm really excited to be here. I was hoping, I just moved up here to work here, and I'm astounded that I made it so fast.
For sure. And then our second new navigator is Leslie Serrano. She's a graduate of California State University, Long Beach. Her previous employment includes community family support services and student mentoring. She brings with her a passion for student success, as she's a first generation college student from Southern California. She's fluent in Spanish, which I'm so excited, which, you know, it's very hard to provide good services to our Spanish speaking population when nobody at the front counter can connect with them. So I'm very thankful to have Leslie. It's very shy.
I'm very shy, but I'm very happy and excited to be here. Thank you guys.
Thank you, Gordon.
Okay. Up next, we have Dr. Jennifer Glazier.
Good evening. I'm here to introduce Allison Roeder. She most currently worked as Director of Education Innovation for Kitsap Strong, a collective impact initiative in Kitsap County, working to raise ACEs awareness, empower community resilience, and transform systems. Her education background includes an undergraduate degree in psychology and a graduate degree in public affairs from Washington State University. She has worked in the field of education for over 20 years in various capacities within higher ed, college access, outreach and training, program management, expanded learning, and behavioral health. She currently serves as a school board director for a local school district and is involved in several other volunteer efforts related to education and youth, including the Bremerton Kiwanis Club and the Rotary Avid Mentor Program. She is our new Associate Dean of K-12 Partnerships, and we're very excited to have her. Thank you.
Thank you for the nice warm welcome that everyone has given me. I've been here about 3 months and I have not met one single person yet that has not been friendly and welcoming and helping me figure out all the things. So really glad to be back in the community college system in particular.
Next, we have Jamie Cox Garcia, who is Vermont.
Hello, everybody. I am introducing Erica Woodside tonight. She is my new program coordinator for recreation, and I'm going to have her tell you a little about herself.
Hi, I am an OC alumni. I graduated in June with my associates, and during my time here at OC, I was a student on the softball team, and I worked in the recreation department. And now I am working full-time as the program coordinator, and I'm super excited to continue my work.
I'm mistaken. I believe that's all public comment. Or excuse me, that's all employee introduction.
Is that it, Adam?
That is.
Okay, great. All right. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, I want to welcome you all to Olympic College. You're welcome to stay for the remainder of the meeting, but it's not required that you do so. So welcome, everyone. I'm glad to have you at OC. Okay, we're going to move on. For tonight's study session, we have a joint presentation on tenure by Vice President for Instruction, Martin Cockcroft, and Craig Goodman, English faculty and AHE President. Gentlemen, thank you for being here, and the floor is all yours.
If the in-person crowd will go ahead and take some seats in the audience, we'll start the presentation.
Sorry. There, so now. Thank you. Yeah, fine. Yeah, that's good. You can ask. That's great. Okay. Harriet, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm standing right in front of you.
No, you're fine.
Stand over here.
You're good.
Okay, hi everyone, and Chair Bryant and Board of Trustees, thank you for allowing us to make this presentation. My name is Martin Cockcroft. I'm the Vice President of Instruction here at Olympic College. I'm really happy to co-present here with Craig Goodman, English faculty, President of AHE. And we're going to be talking about tenure today. This first slide features a few of our tenured faculty, actually. So David Arden in nursing, Amy Hesketh in film, and Kevin Blackwell in computer information systems. Looking just as friendly and scholarly as they do in the classroom every day. You've heard me, even really recently, stand here at the podium and talk about how excited we are when the board awards tenure to faculty who are up for tenure, and talk about it as often the most momentous occasion in a faculty member's professional life. And so I'm excited to talk a little bit more about what is tenure and why it exists. And then Craig will talk about our process here at OC. Next slide. Okay, so what is tenure? I pulled this from Wikipedia, but you can find a similar definition just about anywhere. So academic tenure in the United States and Canada is a contractual right that grants a teacher or professor a permanent position of employment at an academic institution, such as a university or school. And so as we were thinking about tenure, I got the chance to research tenure a little bit, and I was surprised at how much I actually didn't know about tenure, having been around it either as a faculty member or administrator for most of my entire professional career. So it was introduced in the US in the early 20th century. What I understand is that tenure, the practice of tenure dates back to as early as 1600, but that it wasn't systematic until it was introduced into the United States in the early 20th century, and then became standard in the US higher education in 1940. I also learned that New Jersey was the first state to standardize tenure in like 1910. That was quite interesting. Tenure is also common in K through 12 schools. What I learned in researching this is that about 50, this is as of I think 2021, 57% of degree granting post-secondary US institutions have tenure systems. And that includes public, private, for-profit, not-for-profit, community colleges on up to doctoral granting institutions. Only 1% of private for-profit colleges have tenure, and 99% of public doctoral institutions do. So there's a great kind of range in terms of which institutions do grant tenure or have tenure systems. The number of faculty who are on the tenure track or tenured is actually fewer than 57%. And that number has been going down over the years as more of the more academic employees are contingent or adjunct faculty or lecturer positions, those kinds of positions. Tenure is typically a 7-year process. I have read that some institutions are longer. I think actually relatively recently, Yale's process was 10 years, then it went to 9 years, 8 years, and I think they might be down to 7 now, which is standardized at 4-year institutions typically. We have a 3-year process at Washington State Community and Technical Colleges. It's not 10-year, by the way, and over the years in teaching, I would find that students often did not know what it meant. Tenure, they didn't even know what the word was, and often thought it was 10-year, but no, it's tenure. Just some of the terms, tenured is that someone has been granted tenure. So if you say someone's a tenured faculty member, that's what we mean by that. Tenure track, we might refer to a tenure track faculty member. That's a faculty member who is in the process where they will ultimately come to a decision about whether they'll be granted tenure. We also talk about a tenure track line. So that's a faculty line that when we do select a candidate, they're eligible for tenure on that position. We talk about probationers, which is kind of a bad sounding term, but a probationer is a faculty member going through the tenure process. And then we have probationary faculty appointments, and that's the appointment that faculty get before they earn tenure. It's an appointment which may be terminated without cause upon expiration of the probationer's term of employment. And that's why we have annual reemployment of probationary faculty, and we do that throughout the year. Why tenure? So tenure, first and foremost, enshrines academic freedom allowing faculty to teach or research controversial material, unpopular ideas, or threats to status quo. And along those lines, insulates faculty from the forces of power, which might seek to remove them if they engage in those unpopular ideas or exploring controversial material or researching that. And it's not purely theoretical. So it was not uncommon in the early 20th century before tenure was systematized in the US for faculty to kind of disappear into the night when they ended up running afoul of a particular university donor or a political figure that didn't like what they were saying. And even now, if you're paying attention to the national discourse, you can see states trying to undo tenure systems, and often that's to have more control over what faculty teach. particularly when it's out of favor in a particular cultural or political moment. I like what it said in one of the in an MSNBC op-ed, protects experts from non-experts. We've heard a lot of criticism, for example, from non-experts on critical race theory. These are not people who know really very much about critical race theory. The experts themselves are researching it, teaching it, thinking about it, and many of those faculty are able to do that freely because they're protected by tenure. I just added that there is some research that also shows that tenure helps with faculty recruitment and retention, and can also help with attracting higher quality applicants to an institution if it's an institution that offers tenure.
Martin, on that one too,
Yeah.
I would probably add too, it establishes stability in your workforce at your institutions. Faculty don't tend to move once they've gained tenure. There's job stability there, and that's important for an institution. Historically, knowledge of what things maybe we've done in the past usually come from faculty who've been here with that length of tenure, hence the word, I suppose. And, you know, administrators and other staff, they can come and go a little bit more regularly. So tenure affords you a workforce that's stable, which is nice.
When I was a faculty member newly on the tenure track at another institution, I was told by a fellow faculty member, we just outlast them in regards to college administration. And here I am as a college administrator. But also in terms of why tenure in particular at the Washington State Community and Technical Colleges, it is part of the revised code of Washington. In 1969, it established that the community and technical colleges in Washington State will have tenured faculty. And the code actually says, protects that, why we have it is to protect the concepts of faculty employment rights and faculty involvement in the protection of those rights in the state system of community and technical colleges. And then also asks us to, there is, in the RCW, there are a number of subsections that define the process of tenure. And I'll just hit a couple of highlights of those. And then Craig's going to talk, I think, explore at least one or more of these points and then talk about our local process. But at that state level, we're defining the appointing authority for tenure as the Board of Trustees. They are the only body which may grant tenure. Probationary faculty appointment is one of continuing evaluation by a review committee who recommends whether tenure should be granted or not. So that's non-negotiable for us. We must do that. The board may decide not to renew a probationary faculty appointment. Tenure faculty who take administrative appointments do not lose tenure. And that's important. When we have now several academic deans who are tenured faculty. And that's one of the questions I always get. What happens if this doesn't work out? You know, do I still have tenure or not? Tenured faculty may not be dismissed without sufficient cause and dismissal process, and tenured faculty must be periodically evaluated in post-tenure evaluation. And that's a process that we do every faculty member who is tenured has that process every 5 years at Olympic College. And that is my part.
Okay, cool. So all of this stuff requires a process, and that's where the union comes in. So we have a collective bargaining agreement. We are essentially under contract with the institution. And I don't know if you're familiar with how unions work, but that's how unions work. And this falls under that collective bargaining agreement, the process. Go ahead. Do that. Okay, so this is actually some RCW stuff, just so you know. The RCW sets the probationary period shouldn't exceed 9 consecutive college quarters. Tenure can actually be granted before that. Big conversation around that. And the probationary period can get extended. So if we have somebody in the tenure process, but maybe we have a little more work for them to improve on, the tenure committee can propose to the Board of Trustees that we do an extension, but there is a limit to that of 3 quarters, and then that's it. So if the person has not met our performance improvement plan that was set forth by the committee by that time, then that's pretty much the end of the show for that individual. We've, of course, invested a lot of time and commitment. The way to think about this, I think, is essentially the tenure process is an extended interview. So we brought you here, and now we're going to grill you for about 2.5 years in intensive interview. And that's what it feels like to probationers, is an intensive interview. But then we're also trying to develop that faculty member too. So go ahead, Adam. So the committee that is working with this is composed of 5 folks. There's 3 tenured academic employees. These are 2 from the probationers division and then 1 from outside the division. Oftentimes we try to get folks within departments, but we have a lot of 1 faculty or no faculty departments. And so we just have to rely on the entire division. There's 1 representative supplied by SGOC. That goes up and down. It really depends on the student government's ability to recruit students to sit on these tenure committees, these meetings and stuff. We don't have any control over that. So sometimes you'll see students popping in and out of tenure probationary processes, and we do our best to work with administration to get student reps, and they do their best to get students. But students are squirrely folks sometimes. Academic administrator is the dean. So whoever is the direct academic supervisor is also on this committee. Go ahead. Good. Oh, you did? Wow, I can imagine. The committees are co-chaired, so the academic dean has a role. This is specified in the collective bargaining agreement. So the administrator is sort of responsible for the process itself and sort of maintaining the documents. That's what's located in there. We'll talk about where those are maintained. There's a faculty chair that's elected by the committee. They're sort of responsible to make sure those evaluations happen. And they're really responsible to make sure the candidates being evaluated. And we also have another person who is actually outside of the committee called a facilitator. The facilitator is an outside faculty member, and they meet with the probationer once every quarter just to make sure the probationer feels the process is being followed and that things aren't sort of amiss. They are not there to advocate for the probationer, they're there to advocate for the process. So for example, say meetings are not happening regularly, or some of the committee members are not showing up. The probationer would be concerned about that and can bring that to the facilitator. The facilitator then can bring that forward. That helps the probationer not have an awkward conversation. Okay, keep going. Lots of words. This is all RCW stuff. The goal of the tenure committee is really continuing evaluation. That's their goal, to evaluate this person like a job interview. And they put the primary importance on the effectiveness to his or her appointment, which is teaching by and large. We do also have librarians and counselors and e-learning faculty who have they're non-teaching positions, so they have to be evaluated on what their job is, and those are spelled out in the CBA with essential duties and stuff. So most positions are teaching positions, and they're periodically evaled. We put that forward and work with the probationer. We have quarterly meetings that's required, and then all of that sort of comes over to you all in a final sort of evaluative report, whether this committee, after 2.5, almost 3 years of direct observation, we'll explain the timing, comes to you and says, yeah, this person is qualified to receive tenure. We would like to keep them on. They're a great instructor. They're a great colleague. That's kind of what we're looking at. But yeah, hit these little buttons. Sorry, Adam. Down here is basically what we're doing. Support the probationer during the process, provide professional development, feedback, and guidance, and then provide you all with an evaluation so you can make that final decision. These are some things the committee is looking at. The probationer is doing some self-evaluation. There's peer evaluation. So every quarter, a faculty member on the tenure committee usually is going into the classroom and directly observing and then writing up those observations, working with their probationer on any concerns they have or complimenting them. First-hand evaluation by the academic administrator. The dean also can come in and do that observation. Summaries of the evaluation process submitted by the probationer. And that's often looking at student evals that they collect and just sort of their own reflection. Workshops, these last two by members of the committee, I don't really understand peer evaluation in these. Honestly, this is messed up in the CBA. We'll fix it. And then the last one, sometimes we may need to have a colleague from outside of the tenure committee come in and do an observation. Maybe it's a technical skill class, and I, as an English teacher, can watch the welding faculty teach but maybe we would want to bring somebody else that knows welding techniques and can really dig in a little bit. So they have that option. We don't do that very often. There's meeting minutes all taken, everything is documented and very official, and it's all within a section of the contract. There you go. Okay, so this doesn't, it's not color-coded on here anymore. So this is the big giant layout plan that we follow pretty much to the letter. It shows you every quarter what is due by each group. The tenure probationer has a lot of things to do. The facilitator has things to do. The committee has things to do. And then the administrator down below has things to do. And we have defined dates on here. Some of these dates are essentially set for the Board of Trustees. So you have information where you can renew the tenure based on the committee evaluation and say, okay, we're going to continue forward. And all you do is say, okay, they can continue forward. And then eventually at the end. I'll be honest, the way this is structured is interesting, that we'll want to have a conversation about it sometime because it's based on the college's ability to terminate the probationer's contract. But the timing of all this is set up because you have to terminate the contract at least one full quarter before the contract termination. The problem is, as you can see, we're giving you guys a recommendation sort of at the beginning of the second quarter. We've just got to know the person. And that's why there's some weird dates in here though. So there is a rationale to that. Maybe we can have a conversation sometime to see. With new technology, maybe the board has easier access. Click this and I think yes. So we transitioned over, particularly during COVID, to an online using Canvas, which is our instructional LMS, to store all these documents. Before we'd have, well, I call them big ass binders. That's not the official term, but we'd have very large binders, literally filled with hundreds of pages of documents, all the student evals from every class, every quarter, all of the evaluations, any other document. These are very large binders. We used to physically store them in the VPI's office. The board would have to physically come to campus to thumb through all of these things. It's very laborious. We've moved it to Canvas, and I think this will give some different type of access for you that should be a little bit easier. And we've worked out a strategy that you can come in and somebody can help you look through the Canvas shell, identify key things that you might be wanting to look at. Most of the time you're really thinking about at the end when we're saying, hey, the evaluation is that you should grant tenure. You may want to have more scrutiny over the materials and everything. But I'll be honest, if they've ever come to you with an evaluation of tenure, everything is documented. Everything is in there. And you should never get a recommendation that we wouldn't expect you to approve. Like that should be worked out well before you get there. And if there are any concerns with a probationer, that can be handled in different ways through administration and whatnot. Did I cover that well? Okay. All right.
So what questions do you have?
Good morning. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you so very much, you and you guys making a presentation about tenure. I think it kind of helped me to understand what I'm really improving. How long did you say the process was, tenure here at Olympic College?
It's 9 quarters.
So it's 9 quarters.
Yeah.
And I think you may have answered my second question was, who followed the performance improvement plan along the way?
Say that again, who follows it?
Who followed it? I think Craig might have.
Yeah, it's that tenure committee.
Yeah.
So every quarter, the tenure committee is meeting with the probationer, and that probationer is presenting materials from the prior quarter. So it might be student evaluations, there's self-evaluations, and then periodically the tenure committee will write up an evaluation to say, to share with the probationers essentially like, hey, these are things that are working great. These are things we'd like you to do more of. Maybe we want you to get more on committees or more involved, or with the teaching, we'd like you to work with a curriculum designer to maybe get that a little bit better. You have to remember, in college, we tend to hire folks who are teachers by trade and training. These don't always do that. They're hiring researchers. And so they tend to have a longer period because they actually are hiring people who've never taught ever before. And you can imagine that can be a tough skill. Most community college teachers, we're hiring folks who know how to teach. We're not hiring researchers. So we have a compressed period because we don't have to work so much on the teaching.
Well, and those at four-year universities are also generally expected to produce something substantial
Right.
in terms of research.
And they
or
have
scholarship
research
before that,
components,
before their tenure. The other thing is the professional development plan.
Yeah.
I can't remember. if you mentioned
Oh,
that.
right, yeah. So at the end of the process, so the probationer does put together a professional development plan. And at the end of the tenure process in that ninth quarter, they're putting a 5-year plan together about, where they see themselves in 5 years. Every 5 years currently, we have post-tenure reviews for tenured faculty. So then every 5 years, those tenured faculty also come in. That's another presentation perhaps, but
Thank you.
yeah. Harriet, got anything for us?
No, that was amazing. Thank you. That gave us a totally better understanding of tenure. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Are there any further questions from the trustees?
Right, well, I just want to say thank you. It's helpful to understand the history, the benefits, the process. It's
You're welcome.
very helpful.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Well, thank you, Craig. Thank you, Martin. You guys did a
Yeah.
wonderful.
Sure thing. Let's see, how about this?
All right, moving on to the business meeting portion of the agenda. Do any of the trustees have anything to report? Trustees? Hi, Adam, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. The screen was blowing up and constantly.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. All right. Is there anything that the trustees would like to report out on?
Oh, yeah, Chair Bryant, I do want to say that we did attend the ACCT conference this past week. And then really learned a lot and made connections, so we really appreciate it.
Okay. Mark, anything?
No, just what was shared. It was a great event. It was nice to meet some other trustees and presidents from around the state and build some relationships and learn quite a bit, especially as a new trustee.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. I concur with both of you. It was a very good conference and it was very informative, learned some new things. And every year I try to reach out and get more stuff to help our college be better. So I appreciate you guys a lot for attending. And thank you, Marty and Adam as well. All right. Trustee Hughes will now be leading us a review of Board Policy 100-5, Olympic College Seal and Design and Use. Trustee Hughes, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Brian. I will be leading the review of Board Policy 100-05, Olympic College Seal Design and Use. Upon review, I find this policy is fairly straightforward. As written, it provides a visual representation of the current seal and regarding the use states, the seal shall be used only in connection with the transaction of official business of Olympic College or for promotional purposes. As written, this policy is in alignment with the policies from other college systems, colleges, and as such, I believe the policy is sufficient as it currently stands, but we'll open the conversation up to any of the trustees.
Great. Thank you, Mark. Trustee Coleman, you have anything on the policy?
No questions, Chair Bryant.
All right, great. Well, thank you, Trustee Hughes, for leading that discussion. We're going to move on to our consent agenda. Do we have any communication from the public relating to any action items on tonight's agenda?
Chair Bryant, no, there's no communication from the public relating to the action items on the agenda.
Wonderful, thank you. So we're going to move on to the consent agenda items. Approval of the draft minutes for the October 17th, 2023 regular Board of Trustees meeting. Do we have a motion?
Yes, Chair Bryant, motion that we accept the minutes from October 17th, regular trustee meeting.
Thank
I'll
you.
second.
All right. A motion has been made and second that we approve the draft minutes of the October 17, 2023 regular Board of Trustees meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Okay, and next is the approval of the draft minutes for the November 7th, 2023 Special Board of Trustees meeting. Can I get a motion?
Yeah, Chair Ryan, move that we accept the draft minute for the November 7th, 2023 board meeting.
Okay, and a second. Wonderful. A motion has been made and second that we approve the draft minutes of the November 17th, 2023 Special Board of Trustees meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. So now we're going to move on to our information and action items. Adam?
Thank you, Chair Bryant and Board of Trustees. The action item for November, or excuse me, the information item is in your board packet. A couple things to highlight. Thanksgiving holiday is coming up this week. The college will be closed on Thursday and Friday. And mainly I want to draw your attention to the Winter ACCT National Legislative Summit. It's going to take place in Washington, D.C. February this year. If you'd like to attend, please let me know. This is an opportunity for the trustees to meet with the local representatives and Washington state senators in their office and advocate for the college. So if you're interested in attending that, please let me know and I'll be happy to make the arrangements. Any questions?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Adam. And our next information item is budget update, month end September 2023.
We have Vice President for Admin Services, Ron Ellis, to provide that.
Excellent.
Good evening, Chair Bryant and members of the Board of Trustees. In your board packets is the budget update for the month of September 2023. The college recommends that the Board of Trustees accept the budget update as an information item. By way of explanation, I'll direct your attention to the college's operating revenue and expenditures report. And first, just note that September marks the end of the first quarter of fiscal year 23-24, which means that we are now 25% of the way through, calendar-wise, we're 25% of the way through the year. That helps as a reference as we look at revenues and expenditures and how they're tracking with the passage of time. Next, we'll talk about revenues, the top section. I'll point out that revenues posted through the end of September are, the state allocation and safe harbor revenue is posted at $3,669,641, which is a $600,000 increase over the same period last fiscal year. Tuition is reporting at $5,218,117, which is $438,000 over the amount that was recorded this time last year. Overall, revenues are being reported at $8,887,000 and some cents. And that is an overall increase of $852,000 over total revenue reported in September of 2023. I'm sorry, FY 22-23. Overall, revenues are at 14%, stand at 14%, which is definitely not tracking with the passage of time, but it is routinely, we are tracking to recent history with regards to how much revenue is being reported in the first several months of the fiscal year. What is important to note is that our state allocation and safe harbor, we get periodic transfers from the state, and Our final billings to the state happen towards the end of the fiscal year, and so those numbers will catch up as we proceed through the year. Tuition will continue to increase as we again go through the academic year. Expenses, looking at expenses, you'll note that they are exceeding revenue right now, 17% compared to 14%, a 3% difference. In dollars, that's about $1,895,000 difference. You'll note that none of the expenditure categories are exceeding the 25% mark. And those that are approaching that are relatively small budget items to begin with. Salaries and benefits are tracking well. They are tracking behind, again, the calendar mark. One of the other things that is important to remember is that with the start of the fiscal year and fall being usually our largest term in terms of enrollment and activity, that we would expect there to be higher expenses being recorded in the first quarter of the year and the second quarter of the year. I think the story here really is that the differences are primarily ones of timing on when expenses are being posted and when revenue is being recorded. The deficit, as I mentioned, where there are no concerns that we have with regard to that. It should self-resolve through the fiscal year. We are, we watch this avidly every day and are tracking that. And of course, we report our financial results to you on a monthly basis. So I have no concerns there. Moving on to the cash on hand for the month ending September 23. Again, the story here is really, again, one of timing. Our cash balances at the end of September were $49,461,310, which is a reduction over the prior month of $910,000. The two primary drivers there in that reduction are both timing related. The largest is at the bottom of the list, fiduciary, our scholarship, student loans, and work study disbursements. Again, because of the start of school and making scholarship awards, loans, and work study, that the ticker just keeps on rolling. So it's that's just a fundamental piece of college budgeting. The next largest deficit is at the top of the schedule, grants and contracts. And that's a difference between billings and payments. So the recording of the billing to our various grantors and contract partners, and the receipt of the payments for the payments from them. So as a result, we do have an overall reduction in this balance. The balance has been holding fairly steady at around $50 million for the last several months. So again, no significant concerns here. I'll repeat what I've said every month almost, I think, since I've been here, and that is that some of this timing, some of these differences will settle down as we get more familiar with CTC Link, as the state board starts tightening up on posting periods, the dates at which we post various transactions. What's happening now is that every couple months we'll get changes in those posting dates, and so that throws off the timing, particularly when we're comparing, year over year, because we posted it in 1 month 1 year, and we posted in another month another year, and so it's very difficult to compare performance from month to month or year to year. So that should settle down here in the next year or two. But we continue to watch that and look forward to that. That concludes my remarks. I'm happy to answer any questions. Chair Bryant, back to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ron. Appreciate that. Any questions for Ron, trustees?
No questions, Chair Bryant.
No questions.
Great. Well, thank you again.
Thank you very, very much.
You're welcome. Our next information item, update on the Bremer Trust. Adam?
Absolutely. It's my pleasure to welcome Bremer Trust trustee Joan Hampton to provide an update on Bremer Trust.
Good evening, Chair Bryant and college trustees. I know most of you, I've been here many iterations, and this time I'm here as a Bremer trustee. I want to give you a little bit of background on why I'm here tonight. The trust has a very prescribed documentation of what we need to do in our relationship with the college. And one of the things we have to do is to come before you once a year and tell you what we've been doing at the Bremer Trust. So just a little bit of background, the John and Edward Trust, Bremer Trust was established in 1987. It's an independent income producing real estate trust. It's a charitable trust, and Olympic College is the sole beneficiary of this trust. It was established by the brothers to memorialize the Bremer family name by providing a sustainable source of funds to ensure that extra measure of excellence in the college's capital improvement and building projects. So we are very focused in what we do. The trust has supported a number of capital projects on all three OC campuses, notably on the Bremerton campus, the Bremer Student Center, the Sophia Bremer Child Development Center, Olympic Court West, which is the student housing complex. In Paulsbo, it has provided for the Ed and John Bremer Chemistry Physics Lab, and in Shelton, the Ed Bremer Welding Shop. Most recently, we're in the process of contributing $1,148,000 to the current Bremerton welding renovation. And since its inception, the trust has provided now over $10 million in support to Olympic College. The trust is managed by 3 trustees. That process is also driven by our governing documents, and it's a collaborative process between the trustees of the trust and the college trustees in naming those permanent positions. Over the years, the trust has been incredibly stable. Michael Connolly was the managing trustee for 28 years. John Mitchell was the managing trustee for 8 years. I am, as of this last October, I am the new managing trustee. That was a bit unexpected. But John Mitchell, who has served since 2015, had to resign unexpectedly due to personal and health reasons. Barbara Stevenson, who some of you may know, is our other trustee. She's been a trustee since 2012. She's incredibly knowledgeable, and she is my shadow these days. We are joined together as we kind of move forward. There is a process in our governing documents for filling a trustee position midterm, and that's by appointment of the 2 remaining trustees. And we have gone through that selection process, and we just named this last month our 3rd trustee, who will serve until the end of John's anticipated term, which was January 2025, and that is Kyle Kincaid. Kyle is well known to the college. He has been the CPA for the Olympic College Foundation for a number of years. Kyle is very knowledgeable about the college, about the role of the foundation, about the role of the trust, how the two differ, the needs of the college. And he has in addition to being an accountant, a CPA, he has a tremendous amount of experience in commercial real estate. Us being a primarily commercial real estate entity, that was really the skill set that we needed to fill. So Kyle will fill that term until 2025, which means I'll be back before you this time next year to talk with you about the collaborative process to name the permanent trustee for that role for the next 5 years. 2023 has been a big year for us. In routine business, we have just completed our 2022 financial audit. We are dismayed that in today's world, it takes us 9 months to get an audit, putting us almost a full year behind where we would like to be in telling the college what the support will be. Every year we do have a requirement to pass through the college at least a minimum of half of our net operating proceeds. So we will be meeting with Dr. Cavaluzzi in December to talk about what that contribution will be for the year that ended December of 2022. We are struggling mightily and working mightily to find a way to move that along. We'd like to be able to tell you a lot sooner, but that is a struggle to find an auditor who can, with their work command, get that done for us, but we're still working on it. It's also a pivotal year for us in addition to naming a new trustee and changing our managing trustee after 8 years. We are also, for the first time in the history of the trust, and at least over 35 years, we are changing our property manager, who has the functional management of all of the real estate that is income producing for the trust. This is an enormous change for us. It has been a long process. John Mitchell and Barbara and I have met many hours over many months, interviewing many people to pick the path forward. But we've made this decision because we need to ensure that we do everything possible going forward to continue to optimize the revenue and optimize maintenance of our buildings to that end, so that we can continue to give the college the absolute most amount of support that we can provide on an ongoing basis. So we met earlier this fall with Dr. Cavaluzzi and the administration about the foreseeable needs and projects of Olympic College. And we're going to meet again, the three of us trustees, with Dr. Cavaluzzi next month to continue that conversation about what projects best fit the terms of the trust for funding going forward. Any questions?
I have none. No questions. Thanks for the great update.
Okay, perfect.
So thank you for your
That was,
lifelong need to Olympic College.
thank you for the update, Joan. Good to see.
You're welcome. And happy birthday, Chair.
Oh, thank you. All right, moving on to the next information item. Olympic College resolution to name the renovated welding shop lobby in honor of John and Edward Bremer. Adam?
Thank you, Chair Bryant. Trustees, in your board packets, you'll find a draft resolution to name the welding shop lobby for John and Edward Bremer in honor of the generous contribution from the Bremer Trust, as Joan just mentioned. Per Olympic College policy, this must be an information item for at least 2 months prior to taking final action, officially naming that policy or that space. So in February, you'll see an action item that would contain the resolution authorizing the naming of the lobby on behalf of John and Edward Bremer. Is there any questions about the process or the space in question? And then again, we really appreciate the contributions of the Bremer Trust and the Barbara Stevenson and Jonah Handy to help make this project whole. So we look forward to honoring John and Edward for years to come.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So any discussion or questions from the trustees?
Question, Chair Bryant. No questions.
Okay, great. We'll move on to the action item, requests and new changes. Adam?
Yes, we have Vice President Ellington and Cockroft to present the action item related to the request.
Okay.
Good evening again, Chair Bryant and members of the Board of Trustees. In your board packets is an action item to approve fee requests related to health sciences. This is the second reading of the proposal, and there have been no changes since it was first presented last month. Once again, Vice President Cockroft, our VPI, is here to answer and try to address any questions or comments that you might have.
Okay, great. Thank you, Ron.
100 to 39.50.
Yes, it's a fee reduction. The cost to subsidize the clinical placement program that we were using has gone down because we're no longer using that program. You're welcome.
All right. Any other questions, trustees?
No questions?
Of course.
All right. Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Martin.
Thank you.
And Adam, do we need to make a motion?
Yes, Chair Brian, you are able to make a motion.
Okay, great. I move that we approve the fee requests, new and changes as presented.
Second.
Okay. Right. A motion has been made and second that we approve the fee request. Any discussion or questions?
No.
All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, our next action item, Adam?
Yes, we have Vice President Ellison presenting the action item.
Good evening again. In your board packets is a correction to the resolution approved in September allocating $2.2 million from reserves to fund the startup of the Poulsbo Health Sciences Campus. The $6.5 million listed in that resolution as an amount to be granted to OC by Kitsap County as part of the ARPA COVID relief should have read $6 million. So a $500,000 reduction over what was listed in the resolution. All instances referencing that amount have been corrected in the revised resolution. The college recommends that the Board of Trustees approve the corrected resolution. Chair Brian?
Yes. So do we have a motion?
So move, Chair Brian, that we approve the correction of the resolution.
Is there a second? Okay, great. A motion has been made in second to accept the resolution approving the use of the local college reserve funds to start up construction and program and the changes. Any discussion or questions? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay, and then our election of chair and vice chair. Adam? So,
Well, again, Board of Trustees, so each fall, between October, the board elects a chair and vice chair. These positions are held for a term of 1 year until the chair and vice chair is voted again in the fall. So the board trustees or individuals can make nominations, yourself or otherwise, for the position of chair or vice chair. And Chair Brian will conduct the election of the chair position first. Chair Brian?
great, thank you. Do we have a nomination? Self or others?
The time. What was the time period again?
It's a 1 year time period. The election will take place next October 2024.
Nominate Chair Brian, be the chair.
Is there a second?
Oh,
I'll second.
All right, thank you, trustees. Do we have any other nominations for the position of chair? All right, hearing none, a motion has been made in second. Is there any discussion or questions?
Question.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you. Now we'll take action to elect the next vice chair of the Board of Trustees. Do we have a nomination, self or otherwise? Okay. Well, I would like to nominate trustee Coleman for the next vice chair of the Board of Trustees. So can I get a second?
Second?
Thank you, Chair Hughes. Do we have any other nominations for the position of vice chair? Hearing none, a motion has been made and second. Any discussion or questions? All in favor say aye. Okay. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you again, trustee Coleman, for accepting that vice chair position, and I'm honored to serve again as your chair of the Board of Trustees. Okay, moving on to reports to the board. Adam?
Madam Chair, Board of Trustees, we have SDOC president here to provide their report.
Hello, so my name is Maggie Bartoshowski. I am the president of the Student Government of Olympic College. I'm so excited to be here today. And with that being said, I'll get started. So for goal updates, we have been working on our first and third goal. Our first being to increase student involvement throughout the 3 different campuses, and our third being to continue with the spend down plan that the previous SGOC started. So we held 3 Pizza with the Presidents events on obviously Shelton, Bremerton, and Paulsville. So the Bremerton event was held on October 18th and had 83 attendees. The Shelton event was hosted on October 19th and had 23 attendees. And the Paulsville event was hosted on November 13th and had 9 attendees. The Club Fair Spectacular was held on October 31st and had 64 attendees. So SGOC is currently in the process of researching different wayfinding apps for Olympic College. We've researched 4 different wayfinding apps and have had meetings with 2 of them, being Ready Education and Mobile Up. So we also had a demo with Ready Education, and after that meeting, we decided that the next steps would be to have this presented to Club Congress. That meeting went well, and that was hosted on November 14th. SGOC also passed a policy on our executive meeting on October 27th for the Shelton Gym memberships. In this policy, it states that the Shelton student must be enrolled in at least 5 in-person credits or more at the Shelton campus. And they must fill out an application to SGOC for these gym memberships. SGOC will review these gym memberships and then cross-check it with the list sent by the Shelton Olympic College. After we have cross-checked it, we are going to send that list back to the Shelton Olympic College, and they will send that list to the gym, Anytime Fitness, along with the money. And the students will go in there and get their gym membership. For updates on Student Senate, Liana Herrera, the vice president of SGOC, has been promoting Student Senate to the students. There are currently 6 senators, and their first meeting this year was held on November 16th. During this meeting, they had a training on Robert's Rules advocating and their own rules as student senators, as well as governance, their goals for this year, and ways of recruiting more student senators. This year's Friendsgiving and food drive, Jenna Morrison, our office assistant and food pantry assistant, got approved for $3,000 for Friendsgiving, which is going to be held on all 3 of the campuses. For the past few months, Jenna has been contacting different grocery stores and restaurants in the areas of Bremerton, Paulsville, and Shelton. She's received donations from Olive Garden, Trader Joe's, Country in Town, Fishline, Winco, and Costco for Friendsgiving. This year, the Friendsgiving for Bremerton was hosted yesterday actually, and had 180 attendees, which is amazing. I'm so thankful for every single one of them. It was so much fun. And then for the Paulsville Friendsgiving, it's going to be held on the 28th from 1 to 3, and the Shelton Friendsgiving on the 29th from 1 to 3. Also, we are holding a food drive which started on November 1st and is going to go to December 4th. Lastly, SGOC's Fall Student Interest Survey is currently going on. So SGOC's goal for the fall survey is to collect at least 12% of the student population, which is about 700 students. The survey asks questions that are tied into our goals for this year. It focuses on class time availability and like late night study options, future tech fee services, asking Paulsboro students what are their needs, and if students are interested in a communication and wayfinding app. As of November 15th at 11 o'clock, we received 400 responses. That number has significantly increased to 650, give or take a bit more. And so the survey will remain open until the end of the quarter on December 8th. And so that is all I have for you today. Is there any questions?
Well, thank you. The great report. Trustees, any questions?
No questions. Thank you.
Congratulations on the success with your survey.
Thank you. I'm so excited and happy about it.
Absolutely. Thank you. All right. Adam, Washington Public Employees Association Board Report.
Yes, Chair Bryant, Board of Trustees, the WPEA has no report to provide this evening.
All right. Thank you. Moving on to the Senate, Faculty Senate Report.
We have Co-Chair Barbara Parker providing faculty senate.
Okay.
Hey, everyone. So members of the board, President Cavalusi, I once again want to remind the board what the purpose of the Faculty Senate is from our charter. The Faculty Senate serves as the primary voice of the faculty in academic and professional matters. The Faculty Senate will provide the faculty the opportunity to discuss and build consensus on professional matters of importance and to share in governance of the college through democratic representation. Elizabeth O'Neill and I have 3 personal goals for this year. We want to open communication channels. We want to continue to meet with members of the E-team, and that'll be in here further, and representing faculty concerns. So we've had 2 meetings since I last talked to you, October 20th and November 20th. Both were well attended in person and on Zoom. And I just wanted to summarize the basic things that were covered, and I had to go back because I forgot October 20th. We had a presentation on early alert. We did committee and council appointments. We had a presentation on mental health first aid, which y'all should take if you never have. It's a really wonderful program. Information on faculty surveys, the status of the bookstore search, committee and council reports. We had Phi Theta Kappa, the Honor Society, came and talked to us. They were doing a survey. They have to have research projects, and their topic was the art and science of play. And so they sent a survey to the faculty to find out how we incorporated play in classroom. And then we've also established a task force to review the Faculty Senate charter. We met with, I have a really busy social calendar day by day. So we met with Vice President of Instruction, Martin Cockcroft. We met with President Martin Cavalusi, and we met with the Vice President of Human Resources and Campus Operations. We discussed mutual concerns and enjoyed discussing issues concerning faculty. It's interesting to note that one of the recurring themes brought to our attention was diversity, equity, and inclusion, and what the Senate intended to do towards achieving their goals. We had scheduled a meeting with Dr. Wade to have them present their vision of DEI on campus and how the Faculty Senate could support their vision. Needless to say, we were disappointed to learn of their termination. This has led to many faculty members asking us to discuss this at our next meeting on December 1st. We are hoping a representative of the E-team will attend to share their plan moving forward. A recurring theme at Faculty Senate has been the bookstore and administrator evaluations. So those are getting resolved, which is really exciting. So at our meeting with Josh, he explained the plan and reassured that there would be faculty input. And just today, with an email, announced the new initiative to gather insights for the administrative team. It's very welcome, and we look forward to the feedback. We're actually going to get some aggregate data and also give feedback to Josh on the format to see how it works, because this is the first time it's been done this way. There were listening sessions held for faculty and students about the future makeup of the college bookstore. An opportunity to complete a survey was also offered. Again, we look forward to seeing the aggregated data obtained through these forums. I deliberately didn't read the summary of the first one because I wanted to have an open mind on the second one. So, and we hope to hear from Ron Ellison, because there were questions asked that were of a Martin's paper. Pay grade is pretty high, but yeah. So those questions couldn't be answered. I was really pleased to have students come to the faculty session. Some came because they were offered extra credit, which is always an incentive. But one gentleman was there and he actually had a book. He was a veteran and said that veterans are being impacted by some of the negative things that have gone through Barnes and Noble. He actually brought a book that he was here when the bookstore was college run. And he said he bought that book then and he bought it again and it was a 35% more than the previous book. So he was very concerned and said that actually if we went with what Barnes and Noble has offered originally, that he thinks veterans would be leaving the college. So that was interesting. And then we had another student who asked about that students have different learning styles and how would this new program impact them. And it was very interesting because she said we have different learning styles, and the answer really was that faculty were going to have to choose an online book or a paper book. And obviously the people who preferred the other were going to be left out. So it was really interesting that they felt so comfortable speaking out, and that's Martin, the way he conducts his meetings. So we would like to extend special thanks to Brendan Taga, Vice President of Student Service, who answered bookstore questions at our last meeting. Kind of put him on the spot, and he was very gracious. Dr. Cavalucci, who broke bread with us while discussing the state of the campus, and Martin Cockcroft for discussing issues that directly affect faculty, and Josh Masters, who reached out to us to set up a meeting when administrative evaluation for our last month agenda. So with that, I wish everybody in the room and on Zoom a happy Thanksgiving. We're grateful to be part of the OC community and look forward to working together to make OC the best it can be. Any questions? If you want to meet with me, just ask. You know, we'll put you on the calendar. Yeah. Call it. Hey, happy birthday, Harry.
Thank you. All right, moving on to our combined administrative report to the Board of Trustees. President Cavalucci, do you have any additional information to the report?
Chair Bryant, from the Board of Trustees, the report is a stance. Nothing to add. Well, I do want to point out that in this audience live and online, we have Dr. Alicia Nye, who was the 2023 Education Honoree for the YWCA Women of Achievement, celebrating and honoring extraordinary women in our community. So thank you very much for that, Dr.
Great.
Point out that online right now is the Greater Kitsap Chamber 2023 Citizen of the Year, Chair Harriet Bryant.
Thank you, Marty.
So then wishing you a happy birthday, that's my report.
Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. Thank you for that report. Is there any questions from the trustees regarding the combined report?
I have no questions.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Before we adjourn, before we commence with the final public comment opportunity this evening, I would like to remind everyone that this is not an opportunity to dialogue with the board. We will not respond to any comments. That said, do we have any additional public comments for the evening, Adam?
Yes, Chair Bryant. First up, we have Sarah Adams.
Okay, great.
Madam Chair, members of the board, good evening. I come tonight to talk about the termination of Dr. Jennifer Wade, Vice President of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. I met Dr. Wade briefly during opening days in September. They had come to our division meeting, and after, when they had forgotten their phone, I met Dr. Wade in the hallway outside the meeting room. I struck up a conversation with them about pronouns, which turned into a longer dialogue about gender identity, gender performance, Judith Butler, Michelle Foucault, and the artificiality of agency, which I still think with them about. Dr. Wade spent over 45 minutes with me in that hallway, and several things were abundantly clear. They were intelligent, intellectual, knowledgeable, thoughtful, patient, and kind. It troubles me that Dr. Wade was terminated. By nature, anyone working in diversity, equity, and inclusion is in a precarious position. Such a job entails that the person question authority and power in the pursuit of a more equitable institution and culture. When does power enjoy being questioned? When does authority admit to errors, flaws, or the need to change? While I am not aware of the details of Dr. Wade's termination, I wonder if the board members are, or if you were informed by a single source. If you are receiving the narrative about Dr. Wade's termination from a single perspective, you might, as the danger of a single story would suggest, not be getting the full picture, the context, the greater complexities. This too troubles me. I can only hope it troubles you as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Adam?
Up next, we have Heather Newcomer.
Hello, I'm Heather Newcomer. I am a librarian here at OC, and I'm also a past chair of the Diversity Advisory Council. And I am inviting into both the library and the Diversity Advisory Council. It occurred to me after I signed up for my spot, but I also wanted to mention that next week is a busy week. We have Monday is the Diversity Advisory Council meeting, which we'd love to have you come to as well. It's from 1:30 to 3 o'clock on Monday afternoon. We meet in Zoom. Adam can get you contact information. And then on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we have therapy dogs coming to visit libraries. And we do that because it is, it's a demonstrated fact that petting dogs makes you feel better. And the last week of classes, students need that, as do staff and faculty and administrators. And we would love to have you come by if you'd like. On Tuesday and Thursday, we'll have therapy dogs here at Bremerton in the Hazelwood Library. And on Wednesday, they will be up in Poulsbo. And so you're very welcome to come and see some very happy students and pet some puppies. And that invitation stands for every last week of classes. We do that in the library, and you're very welcome to come by. Any questions?
Thank you. Adam?
And we have Craig Goodman up next.
Okay.
Again, I haven't been here in a while. Then I teach at night on this quarter. So anyway, so I'm up here. Thank you for the time. And hi, Harriet, again. I'm speaking as the faculty union president, a concerned faculty, tenured faculty member, and as a tax-paying citizen of Kitsap County. So tonight I have a few concerns I just want to bring to your attention. The first is that I'm not sure the board fully understands the cost associated with expansion of health science programs. While these programs certainly can help support the local healthcare workforce, these programs are very expensive to establish and maintain. In the presentation in Poulsbo last April, I did not hear one board member ask about the cost for establishing all of these programs presented. I assume that you assume those costs and ROIs would be coming to you soon. This said, you have now accepted, and reconfirmed tonight, at least 2 commitments of funds for this expansion, one from Kitsap County for $6 million and Virginia Mason for $2.5 million. However, no actual plans or charter have been provided to the college stakeholders or the community regarding the healthcare expansion. In short, it seems you are accepting funding without fully understanding the scope of implementation of this endeavor. And you should be asking yourselves why you don't have this plan. this charter. Let me refresh your memory by reading to you from the last few reports provided by administration to you as the Board of Trustees. May 23rd, after the April meeting and the Board of Trustees support to move forward with the Allied Health Program expansion on the OC Paulsville campus, there's been a lot of activity. Olympic College made a presentation to the Kitsap Commissioner's Office for project funding in the tune of $6 million. And you should hear the outcome of that this week. Additionally, a project team has been assembled comprising 15 people positions whose first order of business will be to create a project charter. Once all those positions have been filled, we will send a college-wide communication out to keep everyone updated on our work. That was from May 23rd. June 20th, report to you, there was no mention of this. August 15th, a team comprising college employees continues to work on the charter for the project. Once completed, the charter will be used for coalition and partner building, fundraising, hiring a project manager, etc. The target date for completion of the charter is August 15th. September 19th, a team comprising of college employees has completed a draft of the health science expansion project charter. The charter details the major components of the project, including the objectives, structure, and timeline. The charter will be used to drive operations, coalition, and partner building, fundraising, hiring a project manager, etc. Once it is cleaned up and ready for distribution, the board will receive a copy for review and comment. October 17th report. The charter describing the project responsibilities, major funds, and timeline is near completion. I'm almost done. There will be a valuable document for communication to external stakeholders. Tonight's report, November 21st. The charter describing the project responsibilities, major funds, and timeline is the second draft and will be shared with the board and others soon. 7 months. There's no charter. There's no plan presented. This should worry you, all of you, because this is a huge endeavor for the college. I'm going off my script here because obviously my time is up. I really think y'all need to ask some questions. Where is this charter? How has it been vetted and shared with stakeholders? And what does it represent? It's important. And I, as a taxpayer, am a little peeved that that charter has not been shared with the community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Craig.
And lastly, we have Angela Dorsey, who is remote.
I just wanted to like regurgitate what I said on writing, that I just really would appreciate Harriet listening to what people have to say. That's all. And I'm speaking to that in my heart. And I just listen to the community. That's all.
Thank you, Angela.
You're welcome. That's all.
Adam?
That's all public comment this evening.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Adam.
That is all the public comment for this evening.
Great, all right. Well, thank you for your comments this evening. We truly appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time to come out and join us as well. Any items for the good of the order? Do the trustees have anything more? Great. All right. We're hearing no other items. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you all. We really appreciate you coming out.
Nice.